Hello and welcome back once again to Rage Gaming in a new Baldurs Gate video. Today I'm back for another round of things you didn't know in this massive game. This time we've got some powerful concepts to make use of for your combat, also some weird tricks and more. A big part of this series is the people commenting their suggestions, which as always I'll be calling out as we go, but thank you to everyone who does get involved. With that said though, let's begin. Our first thing today then is to do with githyanki special item perks. Although of course this applies more to racial perks in general, but we see this often with Gith gear specifically. Let's take Lae'zel and this legendary weapon, the Silver Sword of the Astral Plane. As you can see, it says that we have psychic conditional on one of these aspects of the weapon. Gith-born psionic weapon. When wielded by a githyanki, this weapon deals an additional bit of psychic damage, which it shows there. Again, a githyanki holding this weapon has advantage on intelligence, wisdom, charisma saving throws, resistance to psychic damage, and can't be charmed. All of these benefits because a githyanki is actually holding this weapon. But what if I want to use that weapon? What if I don't want to run Lae'zel in my party? Well, I can still benefit from Gith specific benefits on different races. Let's take the weapon and put it over towards my main. Of course, he's not getting the conditional benefits, the extra stuff, because he's not a Gith, he's a human. But if we take a spell like Seeming or Disguise, we can turn ourselves into something else. Of course we can. Such as, of course, a Gith who will get benefits of these conditional perks now because it tricks the weapon. There is one caveat to it though, is that you have to unequip the item and then equip it, after you actually change. But now we'll have these conditional benefits. As you can see, there was a bit of psychic damage on that attack. And of course, this applies to other perks and other equipment that is to do with races. You can use Disguise Self or AoE Seeming like we're using. And with that in mind, we do have the Mask of the Shapeshifter if you've bought that version of the game. And that comes with Shapeshift as an illusion spell, so you can start doing this pretty early in the playthrough if you have access to that item. For our next thing then, I'm standing suspiciously close to this guard to show you the benefits of disarming enemies. Now obviously that's really good. Take a really strong enemy with a powerful weapon, if you disarm them, suddenly they're no longer as effective. But the problem is when you disarm them, what are they going to do? They're just going to pick it up again. And usually disarming attacks like this one requires an action. So you don't have the following action to pick up their weapon that you've just disarmed, so they can't just pick it up again. But there is something else you could do, because you'll have a bonus action after. So let's say I attack this one and disarm her. Hopefully it works. No, of course she dodged it. I'm struggling to successfully disarm someone, but let's just say for the sake of this example, I have disarmed this guy, his weapon's on the ground, I now have a bonus action, I've used my action to disarm, I can't stop him from just picking it up the next turn. Well, what you could do is just use your remaining shove to, well, shove the weapon, maybe off a ledge like so, to make it so he has a hard time going and re-equipping. Maybe you could send it flying to an ally who could use their action to pick it up. Or you could have an ally come over and shove the weapon away. These little tricks can make disarming that much more effective in a scenario when dealing with someone with a powerful weapon. Let's go a step further in this example though, with the Silver Sword of the Astral Plane specifically. Did you know you can actually get this in Act 1? Yeah, because you meet Voss in Act 1 and he's holding the sword, of course he is. Technically, you can disarm him and steal the sword all the way in Act 1. You need to do something a bit cheeky though. The idea is that you would sneak up on the Gith camp in the wilderness where you first meet Voss using invisibility. You could even buy an invisibility potion from one of the vendors in Act 1, then using a mix of stealth and invisibility, sneak up behind Voss and, well, disarm him. In the moment that he drops the weapon, you could activate turn-based mode, so there's no time to actually react, but because you've initiated with him, he will immediately speak to you. Ultimately, that conversation leads to combat, right? But because Voss hilariously, as the conversation ends, immediately leaves on the dragon every time, he leaves behind his sword, so you can just pick it up. Once you've actually got the weapon in hand, you can just let the person that you sent in to do this just die and then go back to Withers and, yeah, have them revive them. And now she's revived, she's back with whatever equipment she had at the time, and the Silver Sword of the Astral Plane very early into Act 1. Quite overpowered, potentially quite useful, you might think. Next up, we've got a comment that's come from quite a few episodes now, and I think it's time for me to include it, especially while it is indeed still in the game. In short, we have Withers here, who is in the camp. You're doing services with him, you pay him every now and then. Wouldn't it be nice to get all that money back? Yeah, as it turns out, you can just kind of go behind him and, well, pickpocket him, and he has all of the gold that you've ever interacted and used on him just in a pile in his inventory, which does mean, even if it's a tough steal, you can attempt to steal it. And if you fail, nothing happens for some reason. He doesn't even react. You can just attempt to steal it again. And if you fail, well, then you can pickpocket him and attempt to steal it again. And eventually it will work. As you can see, I've succeeded and we got the 600 gold back. Woohoo. The downsides, there are none. Literally, there are none. So this feels a bit exploity, but it exists in the game. And I mean, why not have more gold than you have currently? It means his services basically cost nothing. And obviously that's very useful while it is in the game. But I am pretty convinced at some point they're going to hotfix this out because it's pretty ridiculous. But for the time being, it has survived, what is it, 4 hotfixes they've done so far? So maybe it'll just stay in the game for a while. Next up, we have one from the comments that's pretty funny by the sounds of it. MPeggyL made the comment about pickpocketing. If you initiate conversation with someone, of course we can swap character as always, we all know that at this point. And as I showed in the last episode, it'll even make them turn a certain way, which can be quite useful. The thing is, apparently you can cast spells on people while they're in conversation. This would work on sleep, or in this example, whole person. So let's give it a go. I've got a 40% chance for it to work, and they saved it. Unfortunate, but there's no consequence, so I can just try again. And it worked. There we go. And then I can just start pickpocketing them and take them for all they're worth because they're currently, you know, held, or maybe they'd be sleeping if you did it with that. And because they're in a conversation and sort of CC'd, I can, you know, take what I want and take what I want and take what I want. And it's very easy to take everything that they have. You know, if you fail, okay, damn, I failed. I'll just crouch and pickpocket again and attempt it again. Nice. We just have one thing to get. Great. So I've officially stolen every single thing that this person has. And this will work on vendors, although, to be fair, you need to have them on their own for this to truly work. I've currently set this up to have one of my characters have her in a conversation to make her look away. I've got another character having another CC looking away to actually be able to stealth. You need to have a vendor that's on their own or one that you can distract in some way. But if you can set up the conversation CC, that is pretty potent. And as you can see, the whole person the whole time is at 10 stacks. It's never running out because they're currently in a conversation. So even though way more than 10 turns have passed in that time, because they're in a conversation, it's not passing the time in that way. Pretty incredible, thanks for that tip. This next tip comes from the comments as well. Anthony here suggested a great use of Cloud of Fog, or Fog Cloud. It's a really easy spell to get. In fact, it's level 1, so many spellcasters will be able to get Fog Cloud and use this as early as Act 1 immediately. Now, vendors often have items laying around next to them that, you know, if you steal, you'll be in trouble, especially if people see that. An elixir of bloodlust is certainly something good, isn't it? But apparently, something as simple as a fog cloud can obscure vision. We could put this fog cloud down and no one would see us take that potion and it'd be no problem at all. Because people are blind within the cloud, they can't see you stealing, but there's nothing stopping you from interacting with things inside of that cloud. No one outside of the cloud should be able to see what I do, so let's give it a try. We'll put Gale over here on his own. We'll put the fog cloud nicely on myself and the item that I'm going for. We will crouch, and then I will pick up the elixir of bloodlust. No problem, no one even saw it. Now I'll stand up and walk out the cloud. And let's see if anyone even reacts when it finishes. Well, the cloud's lasting a really long time. It's just going. So I'll speak with the vendor that I literally stole from. He's not even going to react. I can trade with him. It's no problem at all. That's incredibly effective and going to be a really good way to steal any item that is out in the open, of which there are many in camps, in outposts, not just vendors selling stuff. Oh, there we go. The effect finally ended. Yeah, no one's running to stop me. No guards are appearing. It's that easy. Our next tip comes from someone in the comments once again. An incredible tip by Relkanar, and very detailed too. Thank you for that. Basically, it's to do with hirelings and an incredible way to make use of one. You can come to Withers and hire a hireling for just 100 gold. You'll need a space in your party to do so, and then you just choose from the options. Specifically though, you want the one that's the bard. So Brynna Brightsong in this example. With that, we can then go to Withers and have her respec. The idea here is to go to a wizard, and instead of having high intelligence, you're going to want high wisdom. Then for the skill proficiencies, you specifically want to make sure she has high medicine. From there, at level 2, we can then choose the subclass for wizard, of course. In this case, we're going to want transmutation though, because you're of course going to get experimental alchemy, allowing you to brew 2 potions instead of 1 if you succeed a medicine-based DC check. The reason we pick Halfling according to Relkanar is because of the Halfling lucky talent that re-rolls 1s, so when you roll poorly on that medicine roll, you have a chance to roll well. And if you choose to give her then a subclass of Rogue, you can further level up the medicine from +5 to +7, making it even more likely that that happens. We could then level them up to get their wisdom as high as possible, ideally to 20, and at level 6 wizard under this subclass, you even get Transmuter's Stone. As you can see, this allows you to create a stone that provides some sort of bonus until long rest. Resistance to thunder damage, see in the dark, constitution bonuses to saving throws, improved movement speed, so distance, and other elemental damage resistances. Something as simple as the movement speed perk is going to be great for any melee fighter, and so because my character has that stone in their equipment, I'm going to have that movement speed perk until the next long rest, where I can quickly grab the halfling and give myself another. What an incredible double thing to talk about, Relkanar. But then there's the halfling itself and the whole purpose of this, right? That is, of course, alchemy. Let's make myself 1 potion of healing and see if I get 2. She succeeded the medicine check, so instead of 1, I got multiple. Let's see here, I'm at 4 right now. Let's try and make another one. I succeeded the medicine check, so instead of going to 5, I went to 6. So yeah, by doing this, I'm quite literally, very likely anyway, doubling the amount of things that I get from alchemy whenever I choose to do it. So this is really good to do long term. And it's not like it cost me much. It was a total of 300 gold to do this, to have a permanent companion in camp to use this perk whenever I want. And then I'm also getting a long rest buff, whatever I choose based on whatever I'm going to do for 1 party member. Brilliant tip. But while we're here, we have another great tip to do with alchemy, specifically beneficial to warlocks, but actually it would work for a few. It was Matt the BT in the comments talking about there's a specific elixir that's really good for warlocks, and a relatively common one at that gives you a sort of semi-permanent spell slot. So I looked into this and I believe I know which potion they're talking about, the elixir of arcane cultivation. To get this though, you're going to need some weave moss, so if you extract that for the first time, there you go, it unlocks the recipe of the elixir of arcane cultivation. So what does this actually do? It's a small bottle that's filled with arcane energy. It will require 1 vitriol of weave moss and then any sublimate. So let's craft one and have a look. I passed the medicine check though, so instead of making 1, I've made 2. That's so good. Here's what it does. Gain an additional level 1 slot, replacing any other current elixir buffs at the time, until the next long rest. So, say you give this to a paladin. Paladins make use of smites all the time, even the lowest level ones, and this will give them until long rest 1 extra spell slot at level 1 that they can make use of. You know, there are many paladin smites in fact, such as Thunderous Smite, a build I recently covered, that you can do max damage with just a level 1 spell slot. There's no reason to upcast Thunderous Smite because it doesn't actually benefit at all. So you're just getting an extra Thunderous Smite, which is an incredibly powerful ability, especially with a build made for it. Why is it good for warlocks? Well, they get Hex. Hex costs a level 1 spell slot and can be very beneficial to targeting specific creatures. It just allows you to Hex more consistently between long rests by having that extra level 1 spell slot. For many builds, many classes, just having an extra level 1 spell slot is not a bad thing at all. So knowing about this elixir and being able to make them is great. And then using our previous tip, you can make extras whenever you do it. Actually, I'd love to ask if you guys have found any particular elixirs or potions that are really good, maybe for certain builds, that I'm just unaware of. To be honest, it's something I've been sleeping on, so I'd love to hear about specifically that if you have any ideas. But there you have it, another round of hopefully useful and interesting things that I've learned recently. As always, if you guys have anything you think would fit into this series, then please do drop it in the comments. It might just make it into the video. And again, if you have any really cool alchemy potions or elixirs that are good that you think are underused, then yeah, let me know. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thank you for watching, and see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.